Well, g'day everyone, Chef Mooney here from Mooney's Kitchen. Today I'm going to leave you with one last recipe from winter. That's right, we're coming into spring. This is the first week of spring right here in Australia, and next week I want to show you some fantastic recipes, and I'm going to complement them with some delicious Australian wine. White wine, red wine, and also wines from New Zealand. But I want to close off the winter session with one last recipe, as I said. I'm going to make some lamb potato pot pies. They're going to be delicious, you're going to love them, so let's get cooking on Mooney's Kitchen. Okay, so let's go over the ingredients. You have 2 cups of everything, 2 cups of celery, 2 cups of mushroom, and 2 cups of onion. I'm using a little bit of garlic and some rosemary. I'm using 2 tins of organic tomato and maybe a half a tin of organic tomato paste, a little bit of flour, 1 kilo of diced shoulder, lamb shoulder. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put 2 tablespoons of flour into the meat, a little bit of salt and some black pepper, and just give it all a good mix. Into my pan I've got about 3 to 4 tablespoons of oil. I've just used a straight vegetable oil, and I'm just going to start frying off my lamb. I'm going to do it in small batches, because I don't want to cool the pan down too much. Get a little bit of coating of colour on there and try and caramelise it slightly. Okay, let's give it a bit of a turn. A little while now, and we've got some nice colour on most of the meat. In with the 2 cups of onion. Let that cook through. Bacon. I've used about 3 of the middle rasher of the bacon, so there's no fat. Just toss that around and let that all marry together. A good hit of rosemary. You can chop this if you want to. I'm going for the chunky farmhouse look. The rest of the flour that was on the meat, just toss that in. And now it's just a matter of just putting everything in together. Celery, throw that in, and your mushrooms. There's no particular order. Pressure cookers have a fantastic way of cooking things really well, and all that flavour and beautiful goodness is going to stay in there. There's no steam coming out of this once the lid goes on. Okay, now we're going to add some tomato paste. I'm going to add about 2 really heavy heaped teaspoons in there. And we're just going to cook that out. Now, to balance out the tartness of the tomato paste, at this stage you can put a little bit of sugar in there. I generally try and use brown sugar, gives it that nice flavour. Today I'm not going to, I'll see how we go. You can always correct the consistency towards the end. And just cook this out for about a minute or so. Now it's time to put the tin tomatoes in. I'm using an organic tomato, tin tomato. Actually quite nice. So 2 tins of that. And all up there's about 800 grams of crushed tomato. Let's let that cook through. Turn your heat down, as we're going to put the lid on very soon. And it smells absolutely beautiful. Okay, garlic in. Give it all a good mix. Okay, it's time to get the lid on. I'm pushing it onto a setting number 2, and I want to lock it in place until this little valve here comes up. That means there's enough steam going into it, and then once it's up to pressure, we're going to turn it down to as low as we can possibly get it and cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes, and that lamb should be beautiful and tender. Now while the lamb is cooking, we need to get the potatoes on for the top. A little bit of salt in the water. I've got 4 large potatoes just cut in half or quarters. We're going to bring these up to the boil, and when they're nice and soft, I'm going to mash in 2 egg yolks, a knob of butter, a little bit of salt and pepper, and some nutmeg. Okay, it's now time to let the pressure out of this thing. There's 2 ways you can do this. You can gently carry it over to a sink and pour cold water over the lid, and that will bring the pressure down and you'll be able to open the lid. If you don't feel confident about taking it, a hot dangerous pot, to the sink, I would recommend you do it this way. Make sure everyone's out of the way. Number 1 first, and just let all the steam come out. Basically what we'll want is that this little valve here needs to be down. You can't open the pressure cooker while the pressure is still built up. And then all you do is you flick this switch back and you should be able to open the lid. And I'm going to show you a safety measure on opening the lid. Now it's time to open it to the steam valve, which is the next one. And I turn it gently. I don't open it all the way. I turn it gently. And just let that pressure come out naturally. Still a bit of pressure coming out there, and you'll see that the lid, you'll be able to move the lid slightly, but it's still not safe to take off. What I do now, see that? Push that down. Now you know that there's no more pressure because it's not popping that lid up. This is a safety switch. You flick that back. Now this opens it. Now this is the safety measure that I use, and it will ensure that you do not get burnt, or let's say it will minimize the risk of getting burnt. Open the latch. Lift up. Let the steam out, away from you. Never open the lid this way so the steam comes towards you. Always open away from you. Bearing in mind that there will be some moisture and condensation and some steam dripping down, I tip over like this. And then now you're safe to take the lid off. This has been cooking under pressure for 25 to 30 minutes. There will still be some pressure underneath this. Always use a large spoon. Never go in and use a small spoon and then stir. There is a chance that it will bubble up and burn you. So very carefully spoon into the center and just give it a bit of a stir. Now if you stick to these rules when you are making anything in the pressure cooker, you should be pretty fine. Okay, so we want to make sure that the meat is cooked, and as you can see, look at that, I'm barely touching it. It's just beautiful and tender. Okay, I've drained the potatoes and I've just dried them out on the stove for a little bit to get that moisture out. I'm going to put a couple of good knobs of butter in there. Let that melt through. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. And some pepper. Nutmeg. Give it a bit of a mash. I'm going to add just a touch of cream, just a touch. About maybe, oh, what's in there, about a tablespoon? Here's about a tablespoon. And 2 whole egg yolks. Now I give it a whisk. This will ensure that all is nice and smooth. Okay, the pies have been in the oven now for 25 minutes. I put a bit of spinach on the top and let's just give them a try. Still hot, nice crunchy potato. And pretty hot inside. It's beautiful. So the nice lamb through there. Lovely soft potato. There's just enough sauce in the pie itself. It's piping hot. And it sort of finishes off winter in one respect. Beautiful. Lovely spinach on the top, nice cheese. Give it a shot, guys. I think you'll enjoy this one. Well, thanks again for watching Mooney's Kitchen, and I hope you enjoy that recipe. Next week, we're going to be bursting into spring, and I've got some lovely recipes for you. We're going to do some outdoor cooking. It's going to be great. The winter is gone, the summer is coming. Until next time, see ya.